We're going to take a few minutes and run through Chapter 1, do a fast review on it, and then we'll cover Chapter 2 in preparation for the quiz. Chapter 1, the main points. We wanted to understand digitizing information, the basic concept of what a computer is, how transistors affect the development of computers, followed along by the integrated circuits, how the internet was developed, what the World Wide Web did, and the idea of layered software, and then some terminology. So the author talks about computation's greatest hits. The idea that digitizing information is any kind of data can be represented in numbers. This is a huge concept, an idea that has literally changed the way we do so many things, because literally, analog information is not required anymore. We can digitize so many things. The idea of stored program computers is along the lines of the history of the development of the computer, how the central processing unit, or CPU, literally changed everything because it had the ability to store instructions in the memory software so that programs could be more complex and changed quickly. There was no rewiring needed. Transistors then took things to a new level, required less heat. They were very reliable, much smaller in size and weight, which made them a lot easier to manufacture, brought the cost down. The biggest problem was there was still a lot of assembly required. Transistors then gave way to the integrated circuit that gave the capability of making multiple parts and integrating them in the fabrication technique all in one chip. In the process, the fabrication technique that made all of that possible was called photolithography. That was how we actually print the wires onto the circuits. Then there's the idea of the internet. We have all these computers now, and we connect them up, and we hook them all together, and we call that the internet. So the internet is a network of networks. You might want to think of it as the physical infrastructure that connects all of the resources. Basically hooks up and provides the World Wide Web. And HTTP is the protocol that brings the internet to the general public because it uses the browser to allow people to access web servers and transfer any information that they need. On the layered software development, the big takeaway there is that it allows programmers to build on the work of others to complete more complex applications. Here we have the diagram of the software stack. Take note that the applications are at the top of the stack and the hardware is at the bottom of the stack. Let's go through some terms now. So software is a collective name for programs. And a program is something that contains instructions to do something, an application. And a processor takes a program and carries out that application. Now here's a distinction that you'll want to know. An algorithm is a precise and systematic method for producing a specific result. So it's a method, whereas a program is an algorithm that's been encoded to do some specific thing or solve some particular problem. So it's an actual thing or item. When we talk about programming and agents, remember that programming is actually it's doing something. It's the act of encoding an algorithm, something that will then be executed by the computer. So more generically, they give the definition of instructing an agent to perform some function or an action. And the definition of an agent you'll want to know is anything that can follow instructions, which means it can be a computer, could be a program, or it could be a human. Some additional words to know. The idea of abstracting, which means to remove, but in In computers, we're talking about the idea of extracting a process, extracting information typically out of a process, a business process, where you're writing code to accomplish something that's been done in the business. You have to identify the process, and then you have to extract the relevant information and details out of that process. Generalize or generalization is pretty intuitive. I mean, we all pretty much know that's a common idea that you've developed through experience, and that it applies to many different situations. And operationally attuned takes that a little bit further, in that the experience that we've developed allows us to have general ideas about how things work just because we've done it lots and lots of times. Then there was our favorite little mnemonic, which most people didn't do extremely well on. Could have explained this a little better. It might have helped. You got the basic idea that the mnemonic is an aid for remembering something, but a lot of you put down acronyms as an example. An acronym is not a mnemonic. Mnemonics are typically phrases or words that help you remember other sequences of items. The example here, Mary's violet eyes make John stay up nights, a phrase to remember the order of the planets, which I see they have updated and taken out Pluto. That's the end of chapter 1, so we'll move on and do chapter 2.